It's another Saturday when we bring you your favorite security and safety program, Security Watch Africa. Only on this channel, the African Men Television, you get this information on how to keep your life safe and secure. Indeed, it's been a very busy week in Nigeria with the various political parties jostling and struggling and hustling. Let me use the common words in the society to select those who will stand for elective offices in 2023 general election. So it has also been a challenging week for security. We have had reports of some people being killed during these primaries, and that is very, very sad. But really, life must continue. Even right now in Abuja, one of the leading political party, the People's Democratic Party, will be having its presidential convention to select who will represent them. So it's been a lot of activities. The security agencies have been working, and I believe that God will make everything to go smoothly. But we need to look at the way forward. It mustn't remain the same, where lives are lost because somebody wants to occupy an office. Today, we'll be looking at a number of issues, like I will titled it Way Forward for Security in Nigeria. But we'll put together an intro to kick off one part of our discussion. Sit back as we bring you this intro.
The news of the recent killings of over 30 young men by the Islamic State of West African Province, ISWAP terrorists in Kala Bauge Local Government Council came as a devastating surprise to many. These young men were said to have gone to the village of Modu in Borno State and some villages at the border with Chad, scavenging for metal scraps when they were ambushed by ISWAP terrorists, who are mourning the killing of their commandants by personnel of the armed forces of Nigeria. The attack and killing have been condemned by many, including President Muhammadu Buhari and Borno State Governor Babangana Zulum. Modu village and other villages within the border area are currently uninhabited due to terrorist attacks. And this has made some people to ask, why would the young scavengers venture into the area without any security presence, knowing how dangerous that could be in that territory? For these poses and many other security issues, our guest in the studio will attempt to provide answers. Elizabeth Thanko, Security Watch Africa, Abuja.
Welcome back. Yeah, that intro really tells it all. The news of the killing of about 32 of young Nigerians who went for their livelihood as scavengers, like they were said to have done. It's quite very, very sad, and really it's one of the issues we need to be looking into today to find out, should they have gone there? But a lot of questions, and that's our guest who are already seated in the studio with me will do justice to. My introduction will start from my far left. I will be speaking with Chimezi Anyadike. Chimezi Anyadike is current affairs commentator, public affairs analyst. It's a pleasure to have you in the studio.
Thank you very much.
The pleasure with me is my brother, my friend, of course, a regular face already on this program, talking about Suleiman Obagaya. He is the immediate past Deputy National President of the Nigerian Guild of Editors and also the Chief Executive of Sky Limit Media Group. It's a pleasure to have you in the studio again. Yes, I think let me start with you, because just recently, I think about 2 weeks ago, you were the only Nigerian journalist that were in Morocco as part of the global coalition against ISIS. And we're talking about the incident that happened in Borno. I know that Boko Haram is no longer existing, but the ISIS-sponsored or financed ISWAP is still showing their head. Tell us the experience there and react to this incident.
Yeah, it was indeed a very monumental experience. I was in Morocco, as you rightly said, the only Nigerian journalist that was there on invitation of the Moroccan and American government, who spearheaded or headed the global coalition against ISIS. It was the first time Africa was hosting the meeting. It was a ministerial meeting of the ministers of foreign affairs of 84 countries, most of them affected by terrorism. And Morocco got the hosting right because of its outstanding record in terms of dealing with terrorism. The country has dealt with it years back. Morocco can now be said to be very safe. It doesn't have any...
Sahara, yeah.
Exactly. So, okay. So, it did very well. It was able to...
Go ahead.
It was able to host the world, 84 countries, very well. It showcased its potential in terms of security, economy, tourism, and so many other things. It's a country that has seriously developed, and I was able to see it firsthand. I have traveled around the world. Unfortunately, I haven't traveled within Africa very well. I have traveled only to a few countries. So having seen Morocco, I really come to the realization that Africa holds a lot of potential in terms of contribution to economy, to security, and to tourism globally.
Okay.
So Morocco did very well. They hosted it excellently, and they were held by the rest of the world. The communique issued at the end of the meeting was that terrorism must be dealt with. Civilians have a role, the military has a role to play. And another issue that was also identified was the issue of organizations that are separatist, groups that are seeking to balkanize their respective countries. So these are the two major issues, terrorism, separatism, that were agreed by the ministers that these are issues that should be dealt with promptly. And I'm very sure very soon there will be a positive change in terms of the way the global community deal with those issues.
Okay. Yeah, it's an experience. Welcome back, because I know that Morocco had fought issues of terrorism far long before we, and even they are still experiencing some part of it. Yeah, let me come to you, Chimezie. In our intro, you heard it. That saddest that happened. A lot of people have said that area. I have visited that area, the Kalabalge local government, Mudu, precisely just some few kilometers to Chad. So it's a boundary area where nobody is living. But because there are a lot of destruction that have taken place, these boys decided to go and scavenge for metals. Some people have asked, should they have gone without security presence, and why the large number? What would be your take?
I just want to rightly say that in a situation like that, that area is conflict prone, and you could imagine that there should be some awareness of the vestiges of ISWAP left in such an area. I would say that the drive to go scavenging, I can say it is slightly misguided, knowing full well that that area has seen some sort of action and hostilities in time past. Why not wait, or why not let the security agents let you know when it is the right time to go do what you want to do? When I did a little bit of research on what happened, I discovered that yes, there were a lot of vehicular carcasses as a result of the conflicts, the battles that had been ongoing between the Nigerian security forces and ISWAP. And so there were a lot of burnt vehicles and all that these guys go to from time to time to salvage and go sell. So I was like, maybe that would not have been their first time. So probably not having experienced any sort of hostility by any of the vestiges of ISWAP, they decided to go again, and unfortunately ran into these people and met their untimely fate. I would have felt that the important thing to do is to let the military know that this is what we intend to do, so that if there would be any advice given by the military or given by the army, that would be the right thing to abide by. Nobody has absolute control of that area, so going into that area is just like threading into the blind, treading into the dark forest, and without any sort of knowledge, and just giving up your safety and your security like that. So I think the right thing for them to have done was to notify the military command that we've been doing this, so this is what we intend to do, and we're just letting you know for knowledge sake.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there, because the large number again, 32, and there were some who just injured, not dead, still recuperating in the hospital. But it's quite sad that that happened. Let me come to you because you have visited some of all these troubled areas. Generally, there's a trouble spot in the northeast, in the northwest, the southeast. Should Nigerians just venture and move anywhere, knowing fully well that, God forbid, one can become a victim of this, either ambush or run into this thing? What would be your advice?
Well, you see, there is this erroneous impression being created that because the Constitution guaranteed freedom of movement, anybody can go anywhere without treating with caution. And I think that is heavily erroneous. We really need to think and treat with heavy dose of caution, because you can't be moving about in trouble spots like that. Like my brother here said, there must be vestiges of these ISWAP guys, who are very dangerous, who are baying for blood. You can't just think because the Constitution guarantees you freedom of movement, you can just go anywhere, however dangerous the place may be. So if you really want to survive, of course my heart goes to those people that have been killed. It's so unfortunate. Any sensible person will condemn it, and we condemn it as well. But I do think that we really need to be more careful. It's like this Kaduna-Abuja highway. You can't travel at night and think that you are just because you have freedom of movement, you can choose to travel at any time of the day, without being attacked. You are standing a bigger chance of being attacked if, for example, you travel at night. You understand? So, of course, night travel, even Road Safety Commission has been cautioning against it because of the attendant risks, even without terrorists, possibly stopping you on the way. Yeah. There is a possibility of most of the roads are bad.
Visibility is limited.
So, even for that reason, people need to be more careful. You need to know where you are going to. You don't just venture anywhere. For example, I always travel on the Abuja-Kaduna highway. I'm from Kano, and I have some family members in Kano. Every 2-3 weeks, I travel to Kano, and almost always by road. But I choose my time. I'm not reckless, you understand? Because you can't engage in any heroism by venturing into troubled areas.
Yeah, because of freedom of movement.
Because of freedom of movement. So even though I know I have that freedom of movement, I can travel at any time, but I always choose my time. I also engage in a lot of prayers. For security officials that I know, at times I even give them a call. That, okay, how do you look at me traveling at so time, And I always go by their advice. But some Nigerians will never do that kind of thing.
All right, yes. Now, our topic we're looking at way forward for security in Nigeria. And, for the past 2 weeks, various parties have been doing their primaries, selecting those who will be the governors, governorship candidates, and become the chief executive and chief security officers in their states and all that. What caliber of persons, let me start with you, Ayadike, should be looked into to be selected to be our chief security officers of various states?
Well, this question, I have tried to wrap my mind around it in various conversations I've had with peers and contemporaries about the caliber of persons that we ought to elect into most of these executive and representative positions in the country. And I must tell you that there is no magic wand that will be waved to get exactly the kind of persons we are looking for, but the fundamentals still remain the same. What exactly are we looking forward to, or are we looking at as citizens? That is what will guide some of the things we look out for when we are selecting electing our executives and representatives. So when you look at people that have no track record of performance and are basically focused on rhetorics of how things ought to be done, of how things should be done, and there is no track record, there is nothing to back up some of the claims, I think it's a red flag that if the citizenry or if the electorate are smart enough, they will be able to pinpoint this and say, no, this person, I mean, there's a lot of rhetoric in what you're saying, but we need to know your antecedents, where you are coming from, and some of the things you've achieved and all that. We have seen basically the full recycling of elected officials within the same, should I say, within the same clique and all that. So it is left for us to identify exactly where it is we are, where we think Nigeria should head to. That is what will guide us in saying, okay, this is the caliber of persons we are looking at. And then secondly, we should stop being moved by sentiments and, you know, the demonstration of emotionalism. Nigerians jettison logic whenever you rile up their emotions. You know, we need to focus on the people that actually have an idea, have demonstrated capacity, and know with discipline and focus exactly what they want to do for the country, and leave sentiments out of it, even if you don't like the person. But at least if he has what it takes, if you have seen his antecedents, you have seen his background and everything, and you know that, wow, this man or this person knows what it takes to get us to where we are going to, we'll give you the full support and everything. But at the end of the day, like we have had several conversations on it, the issue still lies with the political class, because by the time the delegates have made up their mind on who to vote, that is exactly who the masses would vote for. So I think it has to be a holistic approach. It has to be a holistic engagement between the electorate and the political class, and the kind of persons we are looking at to lead us to where we believe we should be. Thank you.
I'm coming to you now because this is the area where I want you to come in, because you're also interested in what is happening politically, because a lot of people said security politics. Of course, whoever is the chief security officer, whether for the federal government or in the state government or even local area, is in charge of our security. We can't rule that out. Tell me, I talked about the issue of antecedent. That is what I can pick from what you just said. Taking it further, how do we go? How can this be identified?
Yeah, let me break it down. For example, somebody that has been a governor for the past 4 years and he wants to go for another 4 years. For me, the electorate should look at his antecedents in terms of whether he has been paying salaries, whether he has been settling pension, and many such obligations that have to do with human development. For example, part of the major contributory factor to terrorism or criminalities generally is the issue of deprivation and hopelessness. When you induce hopelessness by not giving people their dues or by not allowing the youth to be positively engaged, for example, a governor that is refusing, or that has in the past 3-4 years refused to allow the local government system to thrive, I don't think his people, if they really want development, have any reason to vote for him for a second term. Because you see, without that third tier of government, there is no way we can attain the kind of development we envisage. I was in Morocco, like you rightly pointed out in the beginning of the program, and I saw that they have a very thriving local government system, and all their youths are positively engaged, and that has contributed to a situation where their rate of crime is completely minimal. It's among the lowest globally, you understand. So if a governor does not allow the local government to thrive, and he has been appropriating the statutory allocation of local governments in his pocket, doing what he wants, then the people have no business voting him into power again. They should overwhelmingly reject him. And of course, the second issue, like I said, is salary. Somebody is working in the civil service of a state. How does he survive? He has family. Even if he doesn't have family, he has himself to fend for. How do you expect him or her to survive when you don't pay him his dues? So if a governor doesn't pay salaries, he doesn't pay pension, he doesn't care about the local government system, he is being selfish, we have no reason whatsoever to put such a person into power. And there is also the dimension of the security bond. All the governors collect stupendous amount in billions of naira monthly in the name of security bond. What are they doing with it? We need to engage in critical appraisal to look at whether these governors are judiciously spending the money, or they are just putting it in their pocket. Look at how many governors do we have vying for the presidency? I think about 9. For God's sake, if most of them, if you ask them to use their own resources, if they were using their own resources, a lot of them would not even come out looking for the presidency. So, but some people feel they can just use the meager resources of their own states, of their own people, you know, on frivolities, spending billions of naira, going around Nigeria, giving delegates money in dollars, while your people are wallowing in abject poverty. You see, these are the issues the electorates should look at in voting for the next set of leaders. And of course, in the country, if you want to be president, we look at your antecedent. If you are a former governor, what have you achieved? You know, have you also played a role in uniting Nigerians that are in your own state, for example? Are you the kind of person who caused division? I mean, people only your own indigents without a care about other nationalities living in your state. So these are some of the issues. We need a unifier, you know, somebody that can unite this country, our diverse people, and draw huge advantage from our diversity.
Right.
These are the issues I feel should guide us in electing the next set of leaders.
Okay. Now, let me come to you, because I know that even our viewers are watching. I'm getting some messages, but time will not permit me to take some of these messages being sent. But you can keep on bringing the message. We'll take it with our guests later on our Twitter account. You can send your view, your comment on our Facebook page. This program is also being streamed live on Facebook, so people are following. But let me come to you, because one thing that is very, very important, which you raised, is the issue about security votes. A lot of state governments and even the presidency hide under this security vote to embezzle money, and we don't see it because security is the biggest challenge Nigeria is facing today. What do you think should be happening? I know they say you can't appraise it, you can't question security votes, but what do you think we can do?
Basically, until we have state governors that are accountable to their people, I think the question of security votes would not arise anymore. If we have governors that look at the people as his employer, I'm accountable to the citizens within my state, within my territory. I believe that there will be no issues, there will be no need to keep talking about security votes. A lot of our governors, with all due respect, actually see the security vote as their personal income, because they don't see any need to deploy it, they don't see any need to use it. It's more like, should I say in NYSC parlance, it's more like an alawi for them, with all due respect. But I believe that the very idea of the security vote is to ensure that you effectively secure your territory. As the chief executive officer of the state, you are tasked with the security of the lives and properties and the well-being and security of the citizens within your territory. So if indeed you believe that you are accountable to the citizens, you would not have any need considering it as your personal funds. Secondly, I also believe that if the judiciary can become totally and completely independent, where people or where citizens can request for accountability when it comes to security votes, when it comes to these funds, a citizen can come up and go to court and say, please compel the governor, or please let the government or let the administration be compelled to come out and tell us exactly how the security votes are being spent. Then I think it would also put the idea or the habit of accountability. So until we are able to get governors, executives to that point that believe that truly they are accountable to the citizens that voted them in, this issue of security votes will keep going round and round and round, because it would not be effectively deployed and it would not be spent on what it is meant to be spent.
Okay, in fact, you also brought up something, independency of the judiciary. That has become a very thorny issue, even though we have seen something the federal government is trying to push for it, but a lot of people are going against it. I doubt if it's possible to have an independent judiciary in Nigeria. But let me come to you about what is possible. Okay. Is it possible for Nigeria to eliminate or reduce, because there's no society without insecurity, reduce insecurity in the country, drawing from what you just saw in Morocco. Morocco is a lovely country. Yeah, they still have their own share of insecurity, but not as much as we are having this end.
Sure.
What do you think Nigeria can actually solve this? And if you think so, how can we?
Yes, Nigeria has achieved a lot so far. The security services, honestly speaking, have tried, and they have continued to try. Of course, there is a work in progress. There are a lot of loopholes that need to be filled, and of course, Nigeria has the potential to also achieve those things. And next year's election presents to Nigerians a very golden opportunity to get it right. We should never play on sentiments.
Yes.
We should look at things realistically. Let's look at the person that has the capacity to change Nigeria for the better, to take us to the promised land, to launch Nigeria to the realm of greatness. We should never rely on sentiments. This issue about it must be a northerner, or it must be this, it must be that, honestly speaking, should never be our guide. Our guide should be competence.
Yes.
If we really want to launch Nigeria into the League of Nations that can be called great, that have attained all that need to be attained, for the development of its people. So for me, next year's election, and of course starting from the primary election, that is, I think PDP is holding its own starting from today. APC is holding, it has postponed its own. It should have been starting tomorrow, but it has postponed it to next week. So it starts from the delegates. They should choose for us the very best, not money bags that have that can bribe them. Those that have capacity, that have demonstrated capacity, they are the people we should go for. And if they select for us the right kind of people, it will be up to us also to now choose between the 3 or 4 parties that are fielding presidential candidates, who among them has the best. And we simply go for that person.
Oh, in fact, you have hit the nail there, but we must leave for that progress to continue. But I think we're going to continue with this discussion because there's still so many issues that are untouched yet. Thank you for being part of the program today. And I think we may have to continue next week if you can have the time for us. Viewer, if you are joining us, unfortunately, we have to end for other programs to continue. But if you have enjoyed watching this, join us again next week and follow us on our various social media platforms, YouTube, so you can watch the previous edition or watch this particular one again and send us your view. Until we come here again next week, I say thanks for staying tuned and bye.